Welcome back to the Produce Food Safety Training. The initial steps of produce food safety occur during pre-harvest, which is the time between planting through the time the crop is harvested from the field. The pre-harvest portion includes a wide array of steps from field site selection through harvest. The first step in preventing contamination from occurring on the field is to follow good agricultural practices, also known as GAPs. Good agricultural practices are any steps taken by the grower or farm worker to protect the product from physical, chemical, or biological hazards. GAPs protect safety but also improve quality. For growers, this is a win-win. One specific example of a good agricultural practice is to avoid eating in the garden, which can result in contamination of other produce that is being harvested. GAPs are necessary for the production of the safest possible produce. Once GAPs have been developed and implemented, good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, should be developed. GMPs occur in the post-harvest section of produce safety and are applied when the product is being prepared for resale or further use. Moving up the pyramid, the next two levels are Sanitation Standard Operating Procedures, known as SSOPs, and Standard Operating Procedures, known as SOPs. These documents provide step-by-step instructions of what, how, when, why, and who is to complete each specific task. An example of a sanitation standard operating procedure is proper cleansing and sanitation of equipment that comes in direct contact with the produce items. A standard operating procedure example is proper documentation of the temperature of the product or time the produce was harvested. The final step is the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, or HACCP plan. This is the final, completed safety plan that addresses any potential hazards in all areas of produce production. Complete development of a food safety plan will protect employees and employers, provide direction and guidance on processing, structure the processing in a specific manner, and will empower people to do the right thing when handling the produce. A HACCP plan will also significantly reduce microbial risks and will make sure each step of produce processing has all the appropriate safety measures. Next, we will discuss the major microbial, chemical, and physical hazards associated with pre-harvest production. The four areas where microbial hazards have the most potential to arise include water contamination, field and farm location, soil quality, improper usage of manure and biosolids, and potential risks associated with domestic or wild animals in and around the field. A water source is essential for irrigation and other activities involved in fruit and vegetable production when growing your produce. Typically, there are three types of irrigation water sources: city or municipal water, well water, or surface water. Municipal water has already been treated, is potable or safe to drink, and therefore safe to use on the produce. When testing well water or surface water, keep the records for testing. Make sure the water is drinkable as per standard before it is used for watering or washing hands, equipment, or food. When testing water, a good screening test is for fecal coliforms. Coliforms are bacteria that are found in contaminated water and sometimes make people sick when ingested. Checking for chemical hazards is also an important aspect when working with water. Chemical tests for nitrates are a good idea, as nitrates can be found in water from fertilizers, animal waste, or human sewage. The next pre-harvest consideration is the field location and soil properties. Prior use of land and land adjacent to the field will influence the presence of potential hazards. For example, if the field was once an industrial site, the soil could be contaminated. Soil properties and soil treatments will also influence potential microbial, chemical, and physical risks. Soil testing identifies specific nutrients which may be lacking in the soil, the current pH of the soil, the class of soil, and potential presence of heavy metals such as lead. Testing can also indicate high nitrate levels or harmful microorganisms. After thoroughly processed, compost and biosolids are great soil supplements for fruit and vegetable production. Composting is the natural breakdown of leaves, stems, manures, and other organic materials. If compost is applied, it should come from a dependable source that can provide an analysis for nutrient content. It is important to calculate the quantity needed for good nutrient management prior to purchasing the compost. After application to the field, keep records of the application rates, timing, and specific fields receiving manure or compost treatments. If raw manure is used, it must be applied at least 120 days prior to harvest. Most importantly, if storing raw manure for the field, keep it in a distant location from the growing location. If raw manure is held close to the field, there is an increased risk of contamination of produce in that growing location. The final pre-harvest issue is the presence of animals in or around the growing location. If at all possible, keep all animals, domestic and wild, out of the field. When animals are allowed to roam the field, they will defecate, causing produce to come in direct contact with the fecal material. Fecal material contains many bacteria that cause severe illness. A specific example is E. coli 0157H7. This bacterium has a very low infectious dose, meaning it has the ability to cause illness with very few bacterial cells present. Many wild animals are carriers of disease, which can result from bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Other than fecal contamination, additional risks to consider are contamination from animals through dirty hair or fur and unclean paws. To keep wild or domestic animals away from the growing location, set up physical barriers, such as fences or animal traps. Physical barriers may also prevent vandalism or trespassing. If physical barriers are not feasible, use various sprays and repellents to keep pests away from the farm. It is a good idea to avoid feeding any wild animals, including birds, near the growing location. In addition to biological hazards, there are many chemical hazards that can arise in the pre-harvest section of produce production. Some common chemicals used, such as pesticides, herbicides, or sanitizers, can result in illness. Other potential chemicals that can contribute to illness are allergens that can gain entry into the field. Lastly, there is a chemical concern for natural toxins such as mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are found in rotting apples and contribute to illness once ingested. To avoid chemical contamination to produce, train workers to understand the dangers of over-applying pesticides, herbicides, and sanitizers. Only trained individuals should apply these chemicals and keep them stored in locations away from the produce. If you are not trained to apply these chemicals, then consult your supervisor. If you are sorting produce for sale, dispose of rotten produce. By disposing of rotten produce accordingly, there will be a reduced chance of harmful chemical agents from the produce. We have just finished covering the microbial and chemical hazards that can arise during the pre-harvest section of produce processing. The last type of hazard that may occur are physical hazards. These hazards are found in the field and can harm the consumer if found in or on the produce. Different types of physical hazards that can be found in the growing field are metal, glass, wood, stones, or hard plastics. To reduce the chemical and physical hazards from occurring on the field, perform routine inspections of the field. By frequent monitoring, you or other employees can find the harmful physical pieces and remove them from the field as needed. Have trash or waste receptacles close to the field so proper and efficient disposal can occur. We will now take a short 10-question quiz to test your knowledge over the pre-harvesting section of this training. Please pause or stop the training video.